Touch back for Arfield. One over leg. Scott Arfield. He's been threatening that recently. And all the Burnley players run to the Darwin end. Oh, what a goal! What a goal from Robbie Blake! Burnley's first goal in the Premier League is something very, very special.
What a game, man. Honest to God, that was probably the best atmosphere I think I've ever been to as a football fan. Never mind just Burnley, as a football fan in general. I've been to Wembley with many teams just to watch, and that was definitely, by far and away, the best I've ever seen a football stadium. The way each stand was in absolute, just bouncing, limbs at every goal, and the domination of Burnley. We dominated the scum. Honestly, took them to the cleaners. The first half, by far and away, the best team on the pitch, but it felt like Huddersfield. It felt like we weren't taking our chances. Second half, we take all our chances without Jay Rodriguez, who I feel absolutely awful for. I feel so bad for that poor man who is... Sadly, you know, he didn't get a play in probably the biggest game of his career, but he will be at Ewood. He will rip them apart. We all know it's coming because I wish we could play them every week. For me, to break it down, every player was unreal. You can't really define it to one player because I don't think it's about that. However, Ashley Barnes, Jack Cork, Josh Brownhill, even Cullen and Manuel Benson all massively stood out for me. I thought Cork was phenomenal. He's so smart. Every time they got on the counter, Cork, bang, straight through side of him. Stopped them from getting any flow. Same with Cullen. Was unbelievable. Very strong. Great pressing. Unbelievable with the ball. Won so many fouls. And Benson's just Manuel Benson. He's a wizard. He's a wizard, isn't he? He's a wizard. You can't stop him when he gets going. And then with Barnes, it's everything I've wanted Barnes to do. You know, he still had the typical shithousery, but he stood strong. He was hard. I mean, you know what I mean. He usually is a brick wall anyway, but he didn't do the diving bollocks that he usually does. He played people in. He stood up front. He helped link up the play, and most of all, his finishing was unreal. That header, with how fast that ball came across, just to glance it across, it was unreal. Honestly, to shove the keeper in the net just completed it, didn't it? But honestly, and you know I loved as well, Teller off the bench, coming in just, you know, the 3-0 to their players, then going and bouncing in front of the away end. Unreal. I've got to say, our atmosphere was unreal there. However, the away fans were absolutely awful. Probably the worst I think I've actually seen this season. The worst I've been witnessed anyway in the cricket field. They were absolutely shambolic. They let off a flare before kickoff for some reason and then were silent. They broke the minute silence with clapping a few cheers, but then sat for 90 minutes in silence. It was a joke, honestly. It was so bad. But if I supported Bastard Rovers, I probably would do the same. If I supported Blackburn, I would probably sit in silence as well. But hey, there you go. But yeah, honestly, massive game. We're top of the league, 3 points, bragging rights. What else would you want from a Lancashire derby? Going to the World Cup, top of the league. It's a shame the World Cup break is now because of how good it would be. Like, you know, we've got that fight now carried on, but it doesn't matter. We're going to come back. We're going to have Twine. We're going to have Darker. We're going to have Westwood. And boys, this league is ours. This league is ours.
Bastards post-match, that was so good. That was so good. So easy. I genuinely don't know what we were worried about when we had that sort of therapy session midweek, Joe. That was so easy. They were awful. They offered absolutely nothing. If they're third in the league, then really it's us and Sheffield United battling out to go up because they absolutely nothing. I was getting a bit frustrated though because obviously the first half we had a lot of possession. No clear-cut chances, but then the second half, that was it. That's when they just run out of... They defended quite well the first half, but second half they just ran out. And yeah, dominant performance. Really pleased for Ashley Barnes because obviously I don't think, if we're all being honest, none of us wanted him to start. We obviously wanted Jay up front, but he put a good performance in today. He was involved in the game. He was linking up nicely. Wasn't throwing himself around as he has been. So. Yeah, that was so good, and the atmosphere. I mean, I wasn't there. I couldn't get there, but the atmosphere looked incredible. great scenes at the end there as well with Vinny sort of turning to Klopp and cheering the cricket field on. But yeah, phenomenal.
Burnley 3, Bastards 0. Come on, what a game. I was a little bit worried when we seen Ashley Barnes was coming into the first team with Jera dropping out for injury, but needn't to worry. Ashley Barnes been getting a lot of grief this season so far. Maybe justly, maybe unjustly, I'm not too sure. You can't do much when you're getting tidbits, but he's cemented himself, if he hadn't already, as a Burnley legend. Absolutely fantastic. I think Zarori, Benson, when he was obviously playing, he got taken off after like 60 minutes. Brownie played very, very well. I just think all over the pitch there wasn't really anyone that put a foot wrong. Even there's one thing that sticks out when it was 0-0 and Bastards nearly got through, and we held them back. And who was it? I'm not sure if it's Howard Bellis or not, but they came out and they managed to skip past two or three players and passed up top. But don't matter. Absolutely fantastic, brilliant. I'll be surprised if we have this much jubilation for another game in the entire season. Let's see what the away game holds. Come on!